The most pressing issue for the next president of the United States to deal with is national security because it affects all aspects of the country, government, and citizens. More than 250 people in the United States have attempted to join or have joined ISIS. According to ABC, quote, the group has repeatedly called on its followers in Western nations to conduct deadly attacks at home, end quote. National security is the country's way of keeping the nation safe through protecting the nation's civilians from outside threats by means of military and protecting the confidential information of the country.
Brennan warns more attacks like Paris could be coming.
I would anticipate that this is not the only operation that ISIL has in the pipeline.
Homeland Security tries to prevent terrorism through transportation and border security by detecting weapons or explosives and protecting cyber networks from attacks that may put the country at risk. Terrorist threats come from all over the world and can be executed through physical attacks using weapons or cyber attacks. Homeland Security also tries to combat terrorist attacks within the country.
So I'm the Deputy Director for Counterterrorism Policy for the Department of Homeland Security. So in that capacity, I work to help develop the policy for how we are going to focus on counterterrorism from a Department of Homeland Security perspective. The Department of Homeland Security is the third largest government agency. I think national security is critical to any country, so I think that's one of the biggest issues that any country has to deal with.
I think national security should be awarded more attention and or funding, and what are the current problems related to national security?
Well, I think that any time you talk about funding, it's a tricky situation, particularly working in Washington, D.C., but I do think it has a lot of attention, and I think it has funding. I think the main thing needs to be trying to figure out what are the most important elements of it and where that funding that's designated should go. So certainly there are certain topics that may be more relevant than other topics, and I think that that's something that we'll have to figure out as we have a new presidential administration, what their national security priorities are, and if and how they differ from the current administration's national security priorities. But both of them have it. Both administrations have had it high on their list of issues we need to fund and to be concerned about. We haven't had the same situation that we have with Daesh, which some people call ISIS or ISIL, but their actual Arabic name, which I use, is Daesh, D-A''ESH. So that group did not have the same level of support that they have, and they weren't able to radicalize people to violence in the same way that they have been. So I think that what is certainly happening now and will continue to occur is how to work to defeat that group. And then I think there's some other larger global issues that have been changing over quite some time.
We need to arm our brave young men and women with everything they need to keep us safe. We will also provide additional funding right here at home to the FBI to enhance their counter-terror efforts to keep us safe on the home front. And lastly, we must work with our allies to stop online radicalization.
Since its creation, the FLY team has conducted hundreds of strategic deployments throughout the Middle East and North Africa, South Asia, the Horn of Africa, and the war zones of Iraq and Afghanistan. The FLY team has also responded to numerous counterterrorism critical incidents over the years, with recent examples listed below: Boston Marathon bombing, Benghazi, Libya, U.S. consulate attack, Nairobi, Kenya, Westgate Mall attack, Kampala, Uganda, World Cup bombing, and Abuja, Nigeria, Boko Haram kidnapping of schoolgirls.
It requires the best intelligence community equipped with the best intelligence gathering tools so that we can hunt down terrorists before they attack us and bring swift justice to those who aren't stopped in time. It requires an immigration system based on common sense, which says if we can't fully vet someone and verify that they don't have terrorist ties, then we simply can't allow them inside our country.
In here, we lay out 4 objectives. Keep Americans safe at home. Defeat the terrorists. Advance America's interests abroad. And renew our national security tools. That means securing our borders. That means stopping cyber attacks. That means taking the fight against terrorism to the enemy. It means building a 21st century military, revamping the Veterans Affairs for our veterans, and strengthening our law enforcement tools.
The CIA collects intelligence that is important to keeping America safe. One of their challenges is close intelligence gaps with enhanced collection and analysis on the country's non-state actors and issues most critical to the President and senior national security team. According to the Peter G. Peterson Foundation, quote, the United States spent more on defense than the next 7 countries combined in 2015. Japan, France, India, the United Kingdom, Russia, and Saudi Arabia have spent $567 billion on defense together. The United States spent $596 billion, end quote. Democrats want to heavily invest in intelligence and information to counter terrorism. They also want to focus on keeping nuclear and biological weapons out of hand of countries that may abuse it. They want to improve border security and defense of national infrastructure. Obama improved America's image around the world, and Hillary Clinton was planning on continuing building on this progress as well as president.
So we've got to do everything we can to vacuum up intelligence from Europe, from the Middle East. That means we've got to work more closely with our allies.
According to cbpp.org, this chart shows that most of the U.S. government's budget goes towards defense, Social Security, and major health programs. 24% of the budget went towards Social Security and 16% went towards defense and international security assistance. This is why national security is the most important issue for the next president of the United States to address. Thank you for watching, and we hope you consider this topic.